let's welcome to the stage the one and only Cole Shapiro from League of Originals. Woo, 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 woo!
Thank you.
So I've introduced myself probably 5 times today, but I would love just to get a little intro from you. Who is Cole Shapiro?
My name is Cole Shapiro. I am the Chief Growth Officer at League of Originals.
That's all.
That's all we got.
I feel like you're so much more than that. But for those that don't know, can you tell us League of Originals? What do you do exactly?
So League of Originals, in short, is a brand membership platform, and we specialize in events. Currently, our 3 markets where we produce events are Austin, Toronto, and LA.
I love that. So give me a bit of backstory. I mean, I kind of know this journey, and I think that it's relevant because it's like, out of nowhere, I feel like League of Originals just kind of popped up. And like, who are these people? What do they do? Why work with you? So what was your journey like to get from, where you started to where you're at today? What did that look like?
Yeah, so I have an agency background, and I started working at agencies in 2014. Funny story to that, I didn't even know what e-commerce meant. Went for a job interview, fresh out of college, thought it looked like a cool, fun, and exciting opportunity. Fast forward my first agency, I was there for 5 years. Started entry level, built myself to a director position, became specialized in overall sales and partnerships, but demand generation as well. So spent about 8 years in that particular focus, agencies, full service, design, development, creative, etc. League of Originals came about, was founded by Carolina Shvitanowska.
Shout out.
She's now my business partner. She started the company 3 years ago. Her backstory, she's always produced events, brand side, tech side, agencies, etc. And the idea around it was, in short, we want founders to be connecting with other founders, entrepreneurs to be helping each other in more of a true collaborative nature. And what she saw in the market was a bit of a gap, right? You go to a lot of events, a lot of them are in some shape or form cookie cutter and salesy, if you will. Name tags, booths, not to diminish where we're at now. There's a lot of value in everything. There's value in everything that you can do if you position yourself accordingly. But the idea behind our event is that we want it to be truly brand focused. So our membership platform is designed as a subscription model for brands to gain perks and benefits both digitally and IRL. So on the membership side, we have a subscription model for brands to sign up, monthly retainer essentially, where they get a variety of benefits, mostly digital. We set them up with mentors. We put them on a Slack channel. They get access to our events for free. We have a membership directory. We do virtual events, etc. Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, what about League made you say, I want to be a part of this? Because again, so first of all, how did you and Carol meet? I don't even know this.
Yeah, so Caroline and I met working at the same agency I mentioned 11 years ago. Okay. And she was producing events, and I was managing a sales team. And we both started there when the company was probably 10 people. And we both stayed there for about 10 years. By the time we left, there was close to 300 people. So we became really good friends. We also always had our desks next to each other.
Okay, so work besties.
And we worked a little bit together here and there. When she needed help, in any capacity from the sales team, I would of course give her the resources that she needed. So we had a really good connection. Before League of Originals, when she left and started her own agency, and she worked for a couple different brands, we worked together in various capacities. So we always had a really good dynamic. We always saw each other eye to eye. So to your question of what made me want to get involved, Carolina called me one day 3 years ago when she first started the company. And she asked me a very simple question. She asked me if I can get her leads. And
classic.
I was at that point, I was running my own agency. And I told her, I don't know if I can necessarily just give you leads, but I can help you and I can advise and I can consult you on how to build infrastructure, basic fundamentals of development for sales and partnerships, etc. One thing led to another. I became more and more involved in the org to the point where I was contributing new revenue.
She's like, by the way, you work here now.
The writing was on the walls. At the end of 2023, it was very clear that we were onto something special, and it clearly had some good growth trajectory in regards to our ability to make an impact in this industry that is honestly amazing. The amount of things that we get to do on a weekly or monthly basis, going to events, doing all kinds of fun and exciting activities, this is something that's very impactful, and it makes a difference in people's
Well, and
lives.
something to note about League of Originals. I mean, so when I joined the agency team, I inherited a big book of business that wasn't managed by anyone really, and that's how I stumbled across you guys. And I mean, going through website after website after website, there was something that kind of stopped me in my tracks, and it was again the way that you position your events. I think we've all been to the cookie cutter, and it's so funny because I've got craft over cookie cutter as our next topic.
All right.
But, you know, you've got the Shot Caller Retreat, which is the first event that I went to with you guys, and
Yes.
I was blown away. Not just by, you know, what we were all there to do, but there's a couple of things I want to touch on here. But when it comes to summits, retreats, dinners, they're curated, and that curation is such a part of what you guys do. And I think there's something to be said about the traditional league, or not the traditional League of Originals, but the traditional event circuit, where brands oftentimes can feel intimidated because they just don't want to get pitch slapped by every single person in the room. I noticed at Shoptalk there was a few people hiding their badges because they're like, I don't want people to know that I work for this company.
Yep.
So like, what is the League difference? Because that's so much a part of what you do to make sure that even as you involve tech providers, brands feel comfortable coming to your events because they know that they can just thrive there. So like, tell me about that curation process.
First of all, the term pitch slapped. Might have
Hope
to
you never heard
that. Yes. So when we first began, the flagship event model that we did were summits. So 200 to 300 people with a main stage. We don't do tech booths. We actually put our brands in the booths.
Yeah.
So we want everything to feel very much
Brand first.
spotlighted on the brands.
Yeah.
We want brands to be at the core center of everything that we do. So I think part of your question was angling at why do brands want to attend our events?
Well, yeah, and also like, how did you know where to start? Like, it's like, so now that you've got, you know, the shot caller retreat, you've got the summits. Why different types of events? Why not just one?
I mean, first of all, Carolina, I'm biased, but she is by far the most talented event producer in the marketing industry.
Yeah.
We started with events to see if there was going to be impact, if people had strong engagement opportunities, if they felt a desire to come back. And through a lot of her experiences and honestly her skills, we honestly just came up with this idea to do retreats because it was new and it was exciting. We wanted to bring people together and break the mold on how everybody comes together to add value for one another, but not make it so obviously transactional.
Yeah.
We wanted people to have fun. We wanted this to be a lasting experience that people will remember
experience is the
forever.
part. I think experience I want to highlight, and fun, because your events are not events. They're like carnivals, like truly. You've got the merchant markets over here where brands are selling all their own products, brands buying from other brands, having that conversation. You've got the t-shirt printing press. You've got stage talks all happening at the same
Tattoos.
time. Literal tattoos, permanent tattoos.
Yeah.
But what's really cool is that you don't dictate how people experience League. They can kind of choose their own adventure with that, which I think is super, that's ultimately the difference that I see. So it's like when you do this, event over event, year over year, what influences the decision on how you do the next event, for example? Like what goes into that process of how you guys stay top of mind, how you keep it unique? Because I feel like people are going to start coming for your gig because people see what you do and it's amazing. So it's like, how do you iterate on that while still keeping that vibe?
Yes,
fun
I would
first?
say, number one, production value. Our
Yeah.
production value is premium. Number two, audience. We do a very good job at curating audience and bringing a collection of people together who are not just involved in the industry, but making a difference. Founders, entrepreneurs, VP level and higher. Those I would say is the first two, but how we're making differences and how we're making upgrades each subsequent year, we do evaluate. We evaluate by geography, by engagement, by ratio of RSVP to attendees. And when we first started in LA, it was interesting because the average amount of people that will show up, if you have an RSVP list of 100 people, 50% of them are going to show up.
Yeah.
So then we did our next event in Toronto.
Shout out Toronto.
When we went to Toronto, we had an 85% turnout rate.
Yeah.
So then we went from Toronto and we did Austin. Austin was also close to, it was like 80 to 85% as well. So we're realizing that, number one, we want to scale horizontally. So rather than trying to be the next giant event business where we have thousands of people come to our events, we're going to scale horizontally. We'll maintain the same formats and we'll pop up in new cities that have the TAM and have the market for us to justify that that is a place that we can go and fill a room with people, number one, but number two, make sure that those people can provide impact to the core cause of everything that we're
Well, and I love that you meet people where they're at. You're not expecting people to fly from all over the world
Correct.
to come to you. You show up, like you said, you pop up in their city, and all of a sudden you create not just that consistent league experience, but it's locally nuanced as well. Like in Austin, for example, you tap into that community, which I think is just another testament to, you know, what you are building for people rather than building at people. You know what I mean?
Yes. Also, for people who've been to our events more than once, we don't do the same thing every single time.
Totally.
I mentioned brand booths before. We put brands in our booths. They activate, they provide pop-ups. Some of them sell their products. We also do art installations. We've done the pop-up tattoo parlors. We've done custom printed t-shirts. To build loyalty, we also want people to know that when they come to an event of ours, it's going to be original, pun intended, but fresh and exciting. So
when it comes to brands wanting to work with League, you know, you position this as a community. You've got mentors, you've got the brands, you've got just an incredible community of people. But what is the impact in terms of a brand's bottom line? Like, why should brands want to be a part of League of Originals? What's in it for them?
Mentorship, I would say, is number one. So the way that we break down our membership model right now, it's broken into 2 tiers. We have tier 1, it's called Shot Caller Club. The qualifier for that is VP to founder or C-suite and above. Once again, 10 to 200 million. The second tier is called
10
Originals.
to 200 million. You heard that
plus,
right.
10 to 200 million plus. Tier 2 is called Originals. Originals is sub 10 million. Anybody below 10 million, that is the primary market that we promote to subscribe to join our community on the digital side. To your question, why do they sign up? Number one is mentorship. We want to create not just an environment, but an actual tangible thing where brands can feel comfortable to join this community, whether it's digital or IRL, and feel like they're in an environment where they can collaborate with peers who are going through the same challenges and the same problems and trying to accomplish the same things as they are, as opposed to walking into a room and, for the most part, it's, you know, service providers that are all looking to work with you, which once again is great, but that's just not what we're building.
Yeah. Well, and I love the idea of being able to kind of like democratize the access that people have or founders have to each other, more or less. So it's like you've got these brands that are like, you know, not the Kylie Cosmetics of the world, but want to get there. So being able to put a bunch of people in a room, I think there is something very humbling in terms of being the biggest brand in the room while also having a conversation with maybe the up and coming brand. You know what I mean? So in terms of how you curate those lists and your guest lists and things like that, I know what it's like to partner with you.
Yeah.
But what's the benefit in other tech providers that might be interested in exploring what a partnership with League looks like? How do you curate that list? Because you could have 150 tech providers that want to sponsor your event, but it almost feels hand selected the same way that every detail is hand selected. You do that same thing intentionally with the tech partners. So what does that partnership look like?
Yeah, so there's a few different layers to it. Number one, we have a database of over 22,000 brands that are actively subscribed to our newsletter. A portion of that is also active membership, subscription-based individuals. So we'll, of course, tap that first. Secondly, geography. You touched on this before, but we do events LA, Toronto, Austin. We don't fly people around. We're actively building community in each of those geographical areas. And we don't promote ads. Everything that we've done has been organic.
That is crazy.
Word of mouth.
Yeah.
Yes. Word of mouth is, you know, a headline. Then we can obviously unpack that a bit more. So as we onboard new partners and as people are reaching out to us with interest, audience is what we promise. We know the audience that we could bring to the room. A layer underneath that is also co-creation. So if we were to talk to Rebuy and Rebuy tells me that they want to meet these types of brands in these categories, revenue ranges, job titles, we will take note of that in our onboarding process. We send out surveys so we have a very clear understanding of who we should be filling the room with to ensure our partners are meeting the people they want to meet. And we will commence outreach on your behalf to ensure we're inviting those types of folks. So co-creation, it could be as simple as filling out a survey and we commence outreach on your behalf. Or oftentimes our partners have pre-established target lists and they can equip us with that and we'll give it to our email marketing team and they will send personalized invites as well.
Like, it's crazy because as much as you're building for the brands that you build for, you also build for the partners you partner with. Everything here seems so selfless. You know what I mean? So again, it's like, for me, I think with regards to brands, again, What do you think the difference is? Because again, you've got the network, right? You can bring people into a room, but what does like a farm to table dinner do for a brand? Like, what do you think? Like, so there's something very diffusing about that, but like, why is that the strategy? Like, what about the style of events and these dinners, you know, where you invite 10 or 15 people? What do you think that does differently than something like this, for example?
I mean, it may sound cliche, but it's a true sense of community.
Yeah.
Whether it's LA, Toronto, or Austin, where we're at now, we are now at the point where the people that we've brought together for farm to table pizza dinners or retreats and overnight stays or summits are now truly friends with one another. So we're making true impact with people on a personal level and of course a professional level as well. So I can't emphasize it enough. The collaborative nature of our community emphasis on the brand side is where we make most of our difference.
Slay. Just a moment of silence for that. Like I truly, like I really, like if you have not experienced a league event, it's hard to capture it in words because it's like,
Well, how many friends have you gained from coming to our
brother,
events?
friends, colleagues, like, you know, like it's really interesting. And also not only just the way in which I've been able to also leverage the Rebuy platform for these brands. With a perfect example is Steph Ilioff. No clue who she was before. And if you're not familiar with who Steph Ilioff is, she's a local Toronto jewelry designer. She essentially kind of blew up after she was pictured in Kylie Cosmetics campaigns with the, if you Google Steph Ilioff, Kylie Cosmetics, you'll see like the silver drip, kind of like that campaign with it. So anyways, that's her jewelry company. I met her at a league, the Shot Caller retreat. There was maybe like, how many people were there?
40.
40. But all of a sudden I'm sitting across as a tech provider, speaking with this brand. She's a creative first. And again, I was there not trying to sell Rebuy because I feel like everyone kind of low-key knew who we were, which helps. But after that, I was like, dude, your story needs to be like, well, I want to shout it from the rooftop. So being able to bridge that gap to now bring her into a Rebuy event that we did in Toronto, it's the way that the ripple effect of League extends beyond just the events that you're at. Those relationships and those conversations continue beyond that. And I've personally, you know, experienced that, which again is one of the reasons why I love working with you guys. But in terms of, you know, wanting to scale, like what do you guys look for? Because I think there's something to be said about the partners that maybe want to work with you, but how do you decide who you want to work with? Do you take it from the brand's perspective first? Do you ask your brands, who do you guys want to see? Who do you guys want to get in front of? Or like, what does that look like rather than just kind of like casting such a wide net?
I'm glad you asked this question because we do not oversell our events. The goal is not volume, it's quality. So exclusivity is a component of that. The barrier to entry and getting involved at the events is a bit more challenging than most. As a service provider, the only way to get involved is through sponsorship.
Yeah.
We want to ensure that we have a strong understanding of not only our predictability of who's going to be in attendance, but how much engagement opportunities and impact we can provide for people post.
Yeah.
So if I work with Rebuy and you did 3 or 4 events with us last year, when we speak at the end of the year, I want to debrief with you and have an understanding of how many engagement opportunities you gained, how many new clients you were able to gain as well, and utilize that data to justify further investment into subsequent years so that we're building long-term relationships, not just with our brands, but with our partners as well, because obviously they're the ones who are, you know, helping us make a stride in the market and pay the cost to rent out very fancy venues in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, someone's got to pay for that farm to table dinner, you guys. But okay, so one thing I want to say is, again, you guys are essentially building your own brand while building a community for brands to build their brands.
Correct.
So it's this kind of like zoom out ripple effect again. What's one standout story for you maybe where you kind of bridge the gap, or, you know, a success story from one of your brands? Like, is there something stand out to you?
I have a great one. So there is a company called Dry Water. Dry Water is a hydration packet. It's a product that you can take, rip it open, pour into a bottle of water. And it's not only electrolytes, it has multivitamins, it's got zinc, and it's got a lot of health benefits for you. They actually launched at our LA Summit 2 years ago.
Oh, no way.
Before that, they were the largest supplier of hydration packets for, I believe it was all military branches. So they had already had like a pretty well-established position in their own niche of a market. So they launched Ecom at League of Originals in, 2023. And they actually reached back out to us a few weeks ago And I don't think I can share, but what I can share is that they have had a very significant growth trajectory over the last 3 years. And they reached out to us, and it was a very humbling experience because they credited a lot of that to us and the community that we were able to provide for them to make some of those connections, not only with service providers, but other brands and people that they can share tips and tricks with. So Dry Water, check them out. I swear by it. I drink it every single day. If you go to
and
a
look
conference.
at him, he's glowing. So I mean,
But Dry Water is a success story on the brand side. They launched our event 2 years ago, excuse me, and they are now coming back, and they're going to do an activation with us again in Austin in 6 weeks.
Amazing.
So that's one of the reasons why we do what we do, is we want people to come and not only have a good experience, but we want it to impact their lives and their business as well.
Look at that. A brand for the brands, a person for the people. So I was just going to throw out a random question here. If money was no object, if you had a premier sponsor gave you a credit card with no limit, what would be your dream event? Like, what do you see the future of League turning into?
Selfishly, there's a potential chance that we may go into the category of like concept creation. TBD might be a bit of an
creation. What does
overshare.
that mean?
It means we could do any type of curated activation that we want. Selfishly, if there was no money as an object and I could do any event I want, I would probably get a group of people together and go to Aspen or Whistler or Alaska and go helicopter skiing and snowboarding with people that would want to share that experience with. Selfishly.
Well, dude, you talked to Dot Digital. They just had an event in Whistler, and I got to tell you,
I know. There's
it
another
was one
one
of the best events
too with Ski to Ski.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, where can people find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Cole Shapiro, or my email, cole@leagueoforiginals.com.
Is it just leagueoforiginals.com as well, your online store?
That's the one.
Slay. Well, for any brands that might catch this at a later date, if you are interested in growing your brand with other brands, if you're interested in learning from other founders, mentorship from people that have been where you're at or where you're trying to go, I can only say good things about League of Originals, just given our partnership. And now that partnership has turned into a friendship, and I'm like forever grateful for it.
Agreed.
So yeah, give it up.
One last thing. Last thing. Dates I did not mention. We have Austin coming up. That is May 7, 8, 9. Then we have Toronto. That's going to be August 20th through 22nd. And then LA will be November 5 through 7. All of those are the first 2 days are retreats. And then day 3 will be those summits that we talked about as well.
League of Originals, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate you.
This was fun.